Thank you again for coming to the Monroe County Dems and Indiana Rural Summit Intern Fundraiser. We wanted to first thank Sean so much for playing. Sean is also one of the many candidates that are here today. In a little bit, you will hear from those amazing candidates in our cohort that we hope to have interns very soon with your support and many other support in the community. And we wanted to start off by having a welcome by our very own Senator Yoder.
I have my eye on.
Thank you. Thank you so much for inviting me here just to say a few words of welcome, of appreciation, and awe, because I know how difficult it is to put yourself out there and to run in your communities. You know, it is easy to sit back and to be critical, to sit back and complain. But it's a whole other brave act to put yourself out there and to take that step and say, I want to run to serve you in my community. So thank you for all of the work that you're doing to organize the rural communities, our small towns, our more suburban areas, and our just flat out rural communities throughout Indiana. So thank you, because that takes some real courage. So hats off to you. You know, as I've been thinking about what Hoosiers are saying, traveling throughout this state, and, you know, I've been sitting down with candidates, but also sitting down with constituents. Across the board, I think what we're hearing is some real uncertainty about what is going to happen tomorrow. When we have so many of our communities who are seeing their hospitals closing, their grocery prices rising, and then a state legislature that's really making it difficult to make ends meet again and again and again. Today we were having a community meeting at First United, and we were talking about SNAP benefits. And I was hearing from people saying, but that's a federal program. How does that impact us here in Indiana? It impacts us directly here in Indiana because Indiana voted. Your state legislature voted. The supermajority voted not just to take away SNAP benefits from families, but now we're seeing, I'm not sure what happened, but
so powerful.
But now we're seeing really what Senate Bill 1 from this year is going to do. Senate Bill 1 from this year not only applied for a waiver from the federal government to say we want to put up higher guardrails for families to let fewer families to be able to access nutritious food, but we're going to begin policing not only the families that can access the food, but what they can access. And I think if you asked every single person in this room, you want families to be able to access healthy food, we'd all say, of course, yes, we want that. But here's the challenge. That waiver that Indiana, one of the first states in the United States to apply for, now will make it impossible for families to access certain kinds of food. And what's challenging about that, I know you can say, well, those are sugary beverages and sugary food. We don't want families accessing that. But the challenge is some of our mom and pop convenience stores, the retailers, those regulations are now so complicated on the SNAP benefits that are going to be qualified here in Indiana. The regulations and the hurdles are so complicated that many of our convenience stores are going to say, we're not going to be able to accept SNAP benefits anymore. And sadly, we've fought for so many years to get those retailers to accept SNAP benefits because so many of our communities, that's their access to food, period. And now in Indiana, it's going to be so difficult to understand all of the regulations that too many of them are going to say, that's too much for us, it's too expensive for us to accept SNAP benefits. And we're going to be right back to square one, maybe even further in the hole for many of our families to be able to access them. So what you're doing to draw attention to these issues throughout Indiana, it really is, it is essential that we're having these conversations. And we can't have these conversations if we don't have candidates running. So thank you for running, and thank you to the Rural Summit for organizing. And the person who has really who we need to be thanking, so many now are behind her, but it is Michelle Higgs. Michelle Higgs, who last year did run for a House district and said, I'm going to organize, and I'm not just going to organize for myself. I'm going to organize for communities across the state. And then, like it happens for many people, that race didn't end how we all hoped it would end. And Michelle was not victorious at the end of that race. But she didn't take her toys and go home. She just kept leaning in. And that is a message and the spirit we all have to cling to. There will be days where you will come home and think, what am I doing? And maybe those who love you and are supporting you are feeling heavy, because running for office is a lot of work. But take it from the Michelle Higgs of this world. It's not about that one day. It's about not giving up on each other. Because that is really what events like today, but the Rural Summit in general is about. We have to have each other's backs. We have to organize. And so today, this fundraiser is about ensuring that our candidates have someone who's in their corner. So when they need someone to help them do the organizing, when they need someone to pull that field so that they can get out on that turf and go door to door, when they need to have that little fundraiser to keep going, someone's in their camp to do that. And today we're going to raise enough money to make sure that they have those interns there to keep them going. Because no one can do it alone, and together it's so much better. The work is fun. The work can be joyful, but it has to have all of us there doing that work. So I am thrilled to be here to celebrate with you. I can't stay with you for the whole time. I've got another event that I'm headed off to, but I wanted just to say, let's do this together, because rural Indiana needs all of us pulling together, and we have so many great candidates to celebrate and to get across the finish line, from Amy Oliver to Kirsten Root to Nick Marshall. Again and again, I'm just seeing so many great candidates and really excited to put in the good work. So thank you. And my job now is to introduce the next speaker, which is our own county councilor, a former Monroe County Democratic chair, a champion for Indiana, somebody who knows what it's like to not give up and to continue getting back in there and fighting for Hoosiers, and that is our very own Councilor David Henry.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Not Bloomington. Yeah, which is great. There's other parts of Monroe County, right? This is great. It's so wonderful to be out in Smithville. And thank you to Rural Summit and the party for asking me to say a few words today. First, I want to acknowledge some folks that are in the room that I don't think have been acknowledged yet. There are some other county officials in the room today. I'm one of the Monroe County councilors at large. We also have our nominee for the commissioner in 27, Trent Eckerd's here. Trent, thank you for being here. We had a little dance over the past few months, but it's all settled now. We're all friends again. But I wanted to take a moment to talk a little bit about how just amazing how far this has come in the past few years. And so when I was chairman of the Democratic Party here locally, Michelle was running for the 60 and came to me with this idea about this Rural Summit thing. I thought, well, is this another caucus? Because, gosh, what does this party need is another caucus, right? But it was more than that. right? We knew it was a little more than that, because it was a little more than just the party talking to itself and subdividing into rural versus urban or some other version of this. She had a vision. And if I've learned anything about leadership over the years, is when someone comes to you with a vision and has it figured out, get out of their way, right? and then the next piece is, well, what can we do to help? And it was, it was the party putting down a little bit of seed money to buy the Believe, the Ted Lasso sign, and then a little seed money to send Ryan Still off to Dirt Road organizing, to bring us some knowledge back on what it is we're trying to do. And from that, just those little seeds, we have this movement. It wasn't a moment. This was a movement. And I got to tell you how proud I was when I saw you take this banner into our State House rotunda with all of these candidates that you've recruited. And that's amazing stuff. Where are our State House candidates? Right, we got a view in the room. Yeah, look at this. Right? And it's not a party. This isn't really a Democratic Party or partisan thing, as Michelle was telling me. This is really about getting back to communities again and talking about the issues that face people in our communities. And that's where we're seeing these candidates come from. It's not, hey, I'm a D, I'm here to help. It's, I'm a neighbor, I'm here to help. And that is an important message we got to bring into our state in the next cycle here. You're all doing that work. And it started, kind of a little point of pride. It started, a party headquarters in Monroe County with people like Michelle coming in and saying, what can we do to get to work? It's like, I'm going to get out of your way and let you do the good work. So thank you for that. Now, I am on county council here, and we have talked a little bit about what these real impacts are. And the folks in this room running for the State House to help make our jobs a lot easier in county government, boy, do we need your help. Because the bottom line when it comes to Senate Bill 1, Shelley was talking about, Senator Yoder, is it's put two things on our back. The first is a State House saying, well, hey, if we're going to raise taxes, that's not us, that's your county government. You go blame them. Pointing the finger down locally. And at the same time, putting the burden of paying for our county government on the back of wage earners instead of property owners, which has been the basis of county funding for 200 years in this state. So we're facing a place now where it's those folks that are working the hardest, they're going to be carrying the burden and paying for essential services in our communities. And we need people in the State House to send that message back up that that's not the way we do business here. It is regressive, it is wrong. And you are all running for the right reasons to get that done. So I want to thank you for all taking time to come out here and put your names out there. So on that note, again, Chrissy, you're doing great work with the party. I'm just so glad I don't have to do this anymore. So I got to say, the speechifying is your job now, okay? All right, I'm just saying, all right? But I'm happy to talk. I mean, there's nothing more than I love than an open mic. But I will say this, from that seed money and from getting involved early days to now, you can see what this movement's doing. They need the support. They need the help to make sure that those folks are working together. Because here's the thing I learned most from Michelle with this movement and what she's done. As a party chairman, former chairman, you get a little cynical. You're dealing with the state party. You're dealing with other folks that try to build these campaigns, and you're in a bit of a silo. How much money did you raise? Who have you talked to? And it's all in your silo. Michelle understood right away that you are a community yourselves, that these candidates need each other. And I know we have people coming way out of their district to be here on us today instead of knocking doors in your districts, and that's fine. The message is that's fine because you are leaning on each other to build the community of candidates we need to bring this message to communities. I will say the last thing as I'm getting too far into my thing here. I've spent a lot of time out of the county lately myself. I've been doing some contract work with the federal government outside of Monroe County, and so I've been in my bubble here for several years and been doing some work outside the county a bit. And when I talk with people that aren't Monroe County people, Tom, you mentioned it a minute ago, like what is it about Bloomington that we don't understand the rest of the state? But when we get out of our bubble a little bit and where all of you are running, it's not about partisanship. It's about people that are working hard, that can't put gas in their car, they can't afford the groceries at the end of the week. It's the folks that are trying to get home from their 40 hours to get to the Little League to see their kids. They don't have time for the politics, but they know that their communities are falling apart at the edges. And counties tend to die from the edges and work their way in to the county seat. It's the last mile of roads and the highways that don't get paved in the community that eventually find their way to the town square, the county square. They can feel it. They can't put a finger on it. They don't have time to worry about it. They need people in office that are worried about it for them. And that's what you're all doing with running today. So I thank you for the running. I thank you for the support. Support this group. Get out the phones, scan the QRs, keep them working, keep them in community working together, and let's get this job done in November. Thank you very much. Now, that's the speechifying, but what comes down to next is the folks that are learning, the next generation coming up and learning how to do this work, because I'm old, I'm getting old. It's the folks coming up that are learning how to do this. On my way over here, Amy, your team was literally in my neighborhood. Josh, are you here? I literally drove by Josh, like on my street, knocking doors, all right? So like, I saw it with my own 2 eyes, right? The kids are all right. But to hear a little bit more about what the next generation is doing and they're coming up, I want to bring up the College Dems by you. Isaac, why don't you get up here and talk to everybody?
Thank you all for being here today. If you're in College Democrats or a former College Dems alumni, please stand up. Josh, ooh, round of applause, round of applause. So, now David, you say you're old. Now, here in 2026, well, first off, 2026, what a time to write history. The 250th anniversary of our country's founding. I was listening on the way up to the RFK Sr.'s speech in South Africa, where he said that the world demands the qualities of youth, that it's not just a time of life, but a state of mind. And there are many candidates who are running here in this room that have that state of mind, of courage over timidity, of a life of seeking adventure and being curious over just being siloed, just being alone. So I want to affirm that. My experience with the Rural Summit, I got involved in 2024, May of 2024, first with Trish Whitcomb. Is Trish Whitcomb here today? She's on her way. I can't wait to see her again. I saw her yesterday. And you talk about this my own experience. The education I had with the Rural Summit, going to parades, doing door knocking, not just in Thomas Horrocks in House District 62, which I'll be doing more of here in the fall, but also knocking doors in Seymour for Trish, and knocking doors for Michelle in Martinsville, and at least having this experience to get out of my own bubble and to learn and to build skills that have made me a better leader today, I feel, and to be curious about people all across this state, not just in the suburbs, not just in the cities, not just in rural Indiana, but everywhere, all Hoosiers. That's just a brief note that I have. And in that point, I can't say, it feels like when we're all at the State House, it feels like just yesterday. Yeah. It was literally just at the beginning of this year. And talk about someone with the state of mind, Michelle Higgs, to do the work, and the candidates in this room, and I just want to affirm that and say thank you for being here. And we're here in good company, we're here with good food, and the work has been happening. Josh can attest, knocking doors. Josh and Daniel, where's Daniel? Oh, okay, I'll see him again. Daniel, yeah. The work is happening, but the work will begin tomorrow. It will be every single day up until Election Day and after. Because elections, to quote Neil Kinnock, who is leader of the British Labour Party, said elections are not won in weeks, they are won in years. And they are won in building the groundwork. So thank you all for being here today. Look forward to seeing you all here as we get on to victory in the fall. Trish Whitcomb, yeah! Woo! Just in the nick of time.
I forgot about the time difference.
Oh, you're all fair, understandable. Well, in that case, and now this is my fault. I don't know who I'm supposed to be introducing next here. Who?
It's me.
Is you? And talk about that person with the state of mind, Michelle Higgs.
Hi, guys. This is amazing just to see everybody here. Back in 2024, this movement started with a phone call. It started with a phone call to Ryan Still. It started with a phone call going, hey, do you think we could do such a thing? We had 3 candidates at the time. Thomas Horrocks in 62 was one of them. Michael Potter in 47, the Duck District. And we were talking about how do we meet this moment by building base, because really what the Rural Summit is, it is about base building. Because our communities are always here, And while candidates do come and go, and we want our candidates to win, the truth of the matter is who we are building it with are the people that live in these neighborhoods. And what we're finding is that so many people have basically checked out. I was reading the other day, they're talking about the difference between registering to vote and actually voting. Registering to vote is an administrative act, but voting is a behavior. And most people choose not to vote because they don't think their voices matter. And when you talk to rural and small town communities that have been bypassed for the last 20 years, they have felt so neglected that for them to even have an imagination of something greater and different is so hard. We talk about scarcity, a scarcity mindset in Indiana. And now when you go to these meetings where people are actively showing up against data centers, and you have people running for office that are saying, well, that's just what it's going to be. You just need to give up your farmland and your water because, well, that's how it is. We say no. Everybody in this room is rising up in this moment because we are putting people first. People first.
All right.
So I get the great pleasure of introducing these candidates that are coming forward. They're doing the brave, hard thing. But I also want them to speak about what an impact it is to have young leaders working with them. So tell us about yourself, about your race, where you're coming from, and then what does it mean to have young leaders being equipped alongside you, okay? So come forward and just make a line, and we're just gonna go in order.
All right. I want to welcome you to my district, because that's where you're sitting right now, District 62. And I'm starting to really love Smithville, so it is such a great place here. So thank you all for being here. I am Amy Huffman Oliver. I am running for Indiana House District 62, and I feel quite confident at this point. We're doing a good job, doing what we need to do. So. We are, again, my district is all of Brown County. It is most of the rural parts of Monroe County, and then a small, very rural part of Jackson County. We have the luxury of being in Bloomington. So we have a great college Dems, thanks to Isaac, and then stand up my two young men in the back who have been working today. Thank you. Oh yes, that's right. That's great. And then we have a couple other young men, both named Ben, who are our social media interns, and they, I don't know how to do that, right? I admit every day that I feel old. So technology, of course, is one of the number one things. But I also feel really lucky to have Josh and Daniel, because they did this district and said they did 5,000 doors in 2024. So I am absolutely thrilled to have them now. Because when Daniel does a street, he knows it, right? He's already been there, and that makes a lot. And they are doing it every single Saturday and Sunday since March. So it's really great. We had how many knocking doors today, Daniel? 6, 8, 7?
7 with you guys.
I count, yeah. So they were all in Van Buren. My friend Rick and I were both here in Smithville, because I'm here in Smithville, and we're just doing the work. And it's funny because I've run a long time ago with my husband years ago, and running today, and the technology is different, but what you do is not any different, right? We're meeting people, and we're trying to meet their needs, and one-on-one conversations, and just getting out there and doing the work. So thank you all very much.
Or can I take this off?
Yep.
There you go. I like to be mobile. I'm a mover.
I'm getting ready for you then.
Okay.
Hello, everybody. Hello.
My name is Nick Marshall, and I'm running for Indiana State Senate for District 45, which is all of Clark and a portion of Floyd. Thank you. A little bit about me. I grew up on a 40-acre farm where I learned hard work, and by a teacher as well who taught me what a great public education can do for you, and also a set of foster parents in the city of Louisville who was a military veteran of Vietnam who taught me true respect for his country, as well as his wife was a caregiver, the care you have to give. Some of the things that we want to tackle here in District 45 is, of course, fully funding public education, making sure that our communities are fully supported, as well as many other things. But what I need you to do right now, and we're going to switch this up, I need you to stand up. Now, I've already got you to change your position on my race. So listen, so I need you to truly listen to this. So I just spoke to one of the candidates over here, and this is the definition of what's happening in the state of Indiana. 5 of the 7 Republicans were voted out because they voted against redistricting, right? Yep. My opponent was banging on the Senate floor and wanting redistricting. He was the leader of it, but it failed. Now that those 5 have been voted out, and her opponent down here, we will see in a second, is one of those who got Trump endorsed, is going to be up there. So my opponent will try to be speaker. You know what's going to happen? They're going to redistrict, okay? He is also the co-author of Senate Bill 1 from last year and Senate Bill 1 this year. So, as Senator Yoder was talking about, you're going to get a wait list instead of getting health care. You're not going to be able to fill up your tank while they're filling up their bank accounts. This is what's going on in the state of Indiana, and this is why I need you to change and think about this race differently, because we have an opportunity to take down the potential Senate leader, okay? And we can do that. And what we have to do for our youth, to answer that question, after I ran for this office in 22, I didn't stop. There was a gentleman that came to me and said, I want to run for city council. I said, what do you need? I've got you. 24-year-old young gentleman. So we got him together. We were able to get him across the finish line. He was the highest vote getter in our city council and became city council president. That's what you have to do with youth. You have to show them the door and let them go through it and lead them the way through it. He is now going up for re-election in 27, and he may be thinking some other things as well, but no matter what, that is what we're supposed to do with our youth. We're supposed to show them the way. We're supposed to use these tools and traits and wisdom and knowledge that we have to let them be the next generation. That way, after I get up to the State House, there's somebody else behind me ready to go. So my name is Nick Marshall, and if you want to take down this potential Senate leader, wannabe Senate leader, you will go to HoosiersForNickMarshall.com. You will invest in the Rural Summit so we can get these interns for individuals and we can flip some of these districts. Thank you very much.
Can we sit?
I'm going to hold on to this as well because I don't want to try to fight with that thing. My name is Sharon White, and I drove all the way down here from Fort Wayne yesterday. I am running for Indiana House District 81, which is in the northwest corner of Allen County up in Fort Wayne. And I have a mix of metropolitan, suburban, and rural individuals. I actually got introduced to the Indiana Rural Summit last fall by Jennifer David after having done a 5-day summit for disability advocacy in Indianapolis. Jennifer introduced me to Michelle, and I at first didn't think I really belonged here. I'm running in the city, right? But I realized I belonged here very quickly, and I have found a coalition of people that I know I can turn to. And most importantly, I want to talk about the young people. I have been a higher ed educator for 15 years. Being in higher ed is my favorite place in the world. Working with 18 to 25-year-olds, they are my favorite people in the world. And we need to be doing the work to make sure that they actually want to do this. And right now, a lot of them are very disillusioned. We see Isaac and we see Zach, and so we see the gentleman in the back, and we forget that because they are part of our bubble. But the majority of these kids are that they don't want anything to do with this because they have watched what's happened for the last 10, 15, 20 years. So I started working with Zach and Isaac very quickly after joining the Indiana Rural Summit. We are trying to get a college gyms program up in the Allen County area. We are kind of a college gyms desert. And so we've been working together. I've had a lot of great talks with the two of them, and I can see the leadership that is coming up. I am so excited to get to work with everybody here in the Indiana Rural Summit. But especially these young people, and that's why I drove down today, or technically yesterday, to work with our interns, because again, 18 to 25-year-olds are my favorite people in the world, and I believe that if we can get them back on our side, we can literally change the world, because they've got the energy to do it, and we are starting to run out of that. So if you are up a little bit closer to me, please come introduce yourselves. I'm glad to meet everybody, and I'm so glad that I had the opportunity to come down and meet all of you today.
Thank you, and thank you, Michelle, for all the work that you've done and for inviting me to play for y'all. I'm Sean Steele. I'm running for state rep for District 65 as an independent, and not that it's a thank you. Not that it's a competition, but we've got Lawrence County, Orange County, parts of Washington, real sparse parts of Washington and Jackson. So I'll put our rural. I think we can out rural a lot. No competition, but it's a very rural district, and it's a very red district, and I'm wanting to change that, because we've all seen how that is not helping our communities. I'm a public educator. I've been a teacher for 30 years, and thank you. And I started in social studies, and the last 8 I've been an art teacher. So we've got a grassroots deal going down in my campaign. I've got friends helping paint signs, and thank you for the sign. Thank you, Ed, for the signs. And you know, as far as young people go, a big reason why I'm doing this is for young people, because I've seen what is happening to our public education and all the money going to vouchers. And I'll make this fast because I'm preaching to the choir here. But, I've got a lot of former students. I've taught for 30 years, so I've got some young people plugged into this campaign. I've got a big hillbilly boy that I just love that said, "Mr. Steele, I voted. I registered so I can vote for you." And I'm just like, yeah, that. I coached him in football, and I'm like, yeah, I'm really, I'm excited about this, and thank you all for all your help. And it's good to meet a lot of you other than just in a little thumb on the screen. Yeah.
Pretty good. I'm Ross Thomas. I'm running for state senate in District 41 over in Columbus, all of Bartholomew County, and part of Johnson County, including the city of Franklin. I'm also the county chairman over in Bartholomew County. And Michelle said something earlier, a quote, campaigns are won over years. It's really true, and especially when you start from down in a hole. And Democrats in this state for the last 20 years have been in a hole. The good news about that is that the Republicans have not been in a hole. They've been running the show exclusively, and they've been running the state into the ground. So, being down there, what does it take? It takes a lot of people who have run in races that they had no chance of winning, but they ran. They raised their margins just a little bit. They got a few more volunteers. They got a few more regular donors. They got folks who got used to canvassing. They got folks who were used to phone banking. They got more involved with their local parties by getting involved, maybe just because it was their friend. They may not have even been political, but hey, my friend is running, I'm going to get involved. The next thing you know, that person is now active in politics and maybe even running themselves. So we've been doing this work. You all have been doing this work for a long time. Well, you know, the chickens have come home to roost. This is the year where their malfeasance, their corruption, their chronic stupidity is finally to the point where nobody who's not a partisan stooge will look at the state of Indiana and say, hey, we got it all figured out. We're doing great. If the hospital is closing in your town, you're not doing great. If your high school is having classrooms of 40 people, you're not doing great. If your local fire department doesn't know how they're going to put gas in the damn fire truck, you're not doing great. That's where we are on so many issues in this state. So we can go out and talk to people where they live and tell them, you know, we could do things differently. We could maybe, I know it's a radical idea, maybe we could have policy in this state that wasn't based on the principle of how can our donors and lobbyists make a buck, because that's the only criteria that our state legislature uses. How can somebody make a buck? Whether it's vouchers, whether it's privatizing childcare, whether it's privatizing utilities, everything they can think of, the first thing is how can somebody make a buck? That's not what government should be. Government should be the collection of the community coming together and doing things that we can do as a group and not as individuals. It's as simple as that. Nobody wants to be overtaxed. But we can't live in a fantasy world that Republicans seem to live in to say nobody should pay any taxes and we should have the best of everything. It doesn't work that way. Nobody should be overtaxed. And what we see is, again, when we cut taxes in this state, we do it in such a way that the rich don't pay taxes, where the poor pay sales tax, the poor buy the lottery, the poor have to pay gas tax, whereas the rich, every deduction, everything you can get. We can change that, ladies and gentlemen. You all are the grassroots of that, coming together to help these candidates, because unlike past years, and I'm somebody who's run before in races where we weren't going to win, these are all races we can win. They really are. Believe it. You can believe it. These are all races we can win. So the interns, what a great time to be an intern. Because that's right. What a great time to be an intern. You're not pissing in the wind. All right? You're not. You're going to win. So I want to thank you all. Get involved in campaigns. Get involved with your local party. Send these candidates some money. They can all use it, and they're going to spend it wisely, and they're going to win.
That's right.
So the last thing I want to say is we didn't have a candidate in Columbus for District 59 against Ryan Lauer, but now we do. So as way of introduction, because it's my county, the guy who's going to beat Ryan Lauer, who is dumb as a post, by the way, the guy who's going to beat Ryan Lauer is Josh Burbank.
Thanks all. Josh Burbank. I got to learn not to follow Ross whenever I talk, that's for sure. He's a great public speaker, but thanks, Ross. Ross and the local Democratic Party in Bartholomew County got me interested in politics a few years back. And I ran into them, I think, at the Stonewall event. And I asked them, like, how can I get involved, right? Like, what can I do for the party? I've never really worked at the party before. And they're like, come grab coffee with us, right? And so I was like, yeah, sure. And they're like, "You're going to run for county council this year." And I'm like, "Okay," right? And that was 6 years ago. I ran for commissioner last time, and I'm really excited to run for state rep this year. I'm just getting real upset at what's going on at the state level. Especially with SEA 1 last year. Just the amount of things that are going to hurt our county and the state, it's insane to me. I'm a volunteer firefighter, and what Ross said, we have no idea how we're going to pay for the next fire truck, right? If something breaks, we're going to have to start doing a fish fry every other day, and I really don't want to do that. My wife's a librarian, and they're making severe cuts to the library, right? So I have no idea what's going to happen there, and it's stressing my wife out. And, I really do like the sentiment, though, that, what you said, and it's really inspiring to me is, the 250th year anniversary of our country, right? So if anything's going to change, it's going to change this year. And we only need to flip 4 House seats, and we break the supermajority. And so that's what I'm going to do, and I'm going to go out there, and I'm going to beat Ryan Lauer, and thanks for having me out here.
Hello. I'll get to my name, but the most important thing that you need to know about me is that in December I finished my master's in social work. No big deal, a lot of work. But what that means as a social worker is that I've been with people who have suffered. They have had a parent die, they've had a child die, they have had the worst day of their life. I've been the one who's shown up on your door, knocking, this isn't wood, but let's pretend. I've been the one who was there for DCS representing every system that has failed you, that has led up to DCS being involved. And what that means is that I have been on the front lines working with people and really hearing their hardships of I lost my job and now here I am with you showing up because my kid was left home alone for a job interview. I had my partner die and now here we are. I'm a single parent doing everything I can and it's not enough. Every single day it is not enough even though you're working 2 jobs. This last week, I had the fortune of working with our county coroner. I'm running for District 21, so that's Hamilton County, Tipton, and Howard. But I met with our county coroner, and he told me, you know what I really need? 3 more workers. And I was like, oh, that should be doable, right? You're the coroner. When people die, that's kind of your thing. You have to deal with that. They've had an 85% increase in deaths within our county since last year. The year before that, it was a 45% increase. And he was told, you cannot hire anybody this year, next year, more than likely the year after that because of bills like SEA 1. So if you don't know, Westfield is rapidly growing. That's within my district. We're just under 400,000 people now. But with that comes a lot of death. And in my head, I was like, of course, they have to prioritize that. But we're spending closer to $15 million now on a training center for police. So what the coroner said to me was, 30 years ago, all of these people found out Westfield's pretty cool, and they decided to move here. Well, those healthy young people are dying, and now here I am with my fridges full, unable to take care of them, unable to take care of my constituents because he is elected as well, and I'm still being told that it's not enough. And he is being told repeatedly that there's nothing he can do. We can't afford it, guys. We have to make sure Walmart gets $17 million in rebates up next year. How are we going to take care of these billionaires? How are we going to do that? That's our priority. As Nick mentioned, I am running in one of the Trump-endorsed candidate races, so that is quite an honor. Jim Buck was there since 1994, so now I have the honor of really embarrassing the Republican Party. I lovingly say that Tracy Powell is the weakest cuck of a man that I have ever had the displeasure of meeting because he does not have a backbone, he does not care about our communities, and he does not care about the people that have busted their ass to work to make our communities the best they can be. He doesn't care about the farmers, he doesn't care about the elderly, he doesn't care about this disabled, he cares about himself and the people that he can build up. My name is Kirsten Root. Thank you for everything, and this is why we need to invest in our futures, is because 30 years from now, we don't want to be told that we cannot do these things and we can't invest in our communities. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Brad Meyer. I'm running for the U.S. House of Representatives in the 9th here. Thank you. So I'll take just 1 second to talk about my campaign. I wanted to thank everybody that did vote for me and everybody that voted for somebody else in the primary. I plan to earn your confidence and carry your values forward, right? In primaries and competitions, we have differences of opinion. We need to highlight those differences, but when it's done, we need to pull together. Right? And when I walked in, who did I see? I saw Trent and I saw David, standing right next to each other. Right? The competition is over, we pull together as one, and then we bring our message forward. Right? So you started by asking, you said, talk about having young people on the campaign and the power. And when I was looking at the primary, more people 80 years and older voted in the primary than 34 and under in the previous primary. Okay, it's bad, and people have been going to me and say, oh, you need to get on TikTok, right? and we need to get young people involved, like it's some special message from God, like telling me that water is wet. Right? Yeah, no crap. I know that we need to get young people involved. So the question is, there's a thing in, all right, this is why I don't get invited to a lot of parties. I almost went off into a thing about manufacturing philosophy. But, you ask why a couple of times to try to get to the root cause, right? And you ask why they're not involved and why they're disaffected and why, and when you get right down to it, it's because we're not offering them very much, right? When I was 30 years old, the odds that I was doing better than my parents at 30 was 65%. The odds today are about 45% that a 30-year-old is doing better than their parents. And they see it and they feel it and they know that their future is being taken away from them. The opportunity that I had in front of me, they don't have. And we need to turn that around. And the reason that I'm a progressive, the reason that I'm as activist as I am, and the reason that I am pushing policies that I'm pushing is we have to change this. We can't leave them worse off as a generation than we were. And we have to be interested in their future, right? So, yes, I want young people on my campaign, and I want them to be energized and excited, and I want them to come, not because just I need their labor, and I do need their labor, and we've talked about this, but because it'll make a difference in their lives. Because they see that if I work for the Democrats and help get the Democrats elected, we're actually going to bloody do something about the problems that they're facing. So then I want to turn my attentions a little bit to, and we were all singing Michelle's praises, and I've done that publicly elsewhere, so I'm not going to talk too much about that. But I want to talk about why the Rural Summit is important to me, right? So one of the things that people did when I started running, I'm going to use you as my foil, they said, you need to go to the major counties, right? Here are the major counties where all the Democrats are, and just concentrate there, just there. And they listed 3 counties. Monroe's one of them, and I live there, and that's nice because I don't have to drive very far. But we've got 18 counties in my district. It's Monroe County, down to the river, and Monroe County, across to the Ohio. It's 18 counties. 15 of them are rural. And you look at what is happening to those 18 counties, and you say, average growth in the United States, just in population, if you strip away everything and you just look at population, average growth in the United States is here. I don't remember what the number is, it's like 7 or whatever it is. Average growth in Indiana is less. 15 of those counties in my district are under the average growth. There's only one of them that's growing above the state average. We're losing population. People are moving out, they're not having kids. We have to invest in the rural communities. So I started going to all the rural communities. And I started going to all the different party meetings and the events. And it's been a self-fulfilling prophecy. As we pull back and just concentrate in the cities, we have ceded all of the discussion to the Republicans in the rural districts. I was at a car show yesterday, and I went up to a lady, I'll use the foil this time, and she started out, and the first thing she said was, well, I said, I'm a Democrat, and went, and then we talked for about 15 minutes, and I said, this is why I'm advocating for this. And he's like, yeah, I agree with that. And I said, this is why I advocate for this. And we talked for a minute, and he goes, yeah, I get what you're saying there. And I said, and this is, I don't know if I'll ever get the guy's vote, but we actually had a vote. We had a discussion between us about the ideas and why my values will make a difference for him and his family. And we've got to start doing that. And the Rural Summit is about that outreach. And it's desperately needed. And the last point that I'll make, and then I'll get off the stage, they told me to be brief, and we knew that wasn't going to work, it is about timing. And I know that it's been hard. Ross and some of the other people have been here through the hard slog where the Democrats have lost over and over and over again. But there's also an issue about timing. So it was funny. I think you were talking about, that Trish Whitcomb, and I walked out in the hall, and she was coming up the hall, and I said, get in there now, right? Because if you walk in, it's going to make a big impact. And that's exactly what happened, right? Because she was going to talk to, she was like, Brad, come here. I said, stop, you need to get your butt in there, right? Because it's going to make an impact. It's all about timing. And when, a year ago, I went to one of my first protests after I declared as a candidate, and that was in Jefferson County. And they started these chalk things where they'd put chalk marks, hash and bars, every time somebody flipped them off or rolled coal or said inappropriate things, right? And then another list of when people honked and waved and smiled and cheered them on, right? And the first time they did that, it was all negative comments. And just a few nice comments. And after month, as they showed courage, as they demonstrated and modeled courage for that community, it almost completely flipped. And it was like 5 to 7 to 1, 5 to 7 times more positive, reinforcing comments than negative. Things are beginning to change. People are beginning to see and understand that the policies that we've been advocating are in their best interest. And now is the time that the iron is hot. And now we need to strike it. Thank you.
Sorry, I need a second. I'm a bit emotional. For those who've heard the first part of this speech, it is no exaggeration that I have been working with the Rural Summit for this moment and for starting this initiative for almost 2.5 years. So thank you. Before I give a few remarks, I do want to give out some thank yous first to Michelle and our entire core cohort that is here. Thank you so much. It has been truly a blessing and has propelled me to work harder and harder as a part of an incredible family and group of people. So thank you. And to our candidates who are getting the interns, thank you from moving from a fledgling group of 3 to 12 candidates in 2024 to 63 state house or state senate candidates in our network. It has been an incredible feeling this year. And adding Sean as our first independent candidate, and thank you again for your music. And to all of you in the room for joining this movement in whatever way you can and in any way that you can give. A little bit more background. I am currently, like Kirsten, social worker, although I am class of 2027. I'm I had some gap years where I went and worked in California with leadership and got a climate change education bill passed that had gotten short-circuited by the education committee and got signed by the governor, and got students in tutoring at Ivy Tech Community College, and fell into the Rural Summit after coming back because seeing the joy and the commitment and the passion and the ideas from these young people in that 18 to including my age, 28 years old, has been the most rewarding professional experiences of my life. And I am fortunate enough to now be being paid for part of the work in organizing, and that has allowed me to travel to even more counties in our state on the northern and central side, and it has reaffirmed that those young people are out there already doing the work, and that this initiative is going to bring them all together so that we can really not just push these candidates across the finish line. Senator Yoder is gone, but in a couple of speeches, she's called it the tush push. This year is our tush push for the big change. And your support, your financial support, your time for these students will give many of them from these rural communities a real opportunity, because frankly, they can't do this for free anymore. I can't tell you how many young adults that are in their early or mid-20s that are working 2 or 3 jobs after working their ass off or being first-generation students and barely surviving, even with help from their parents, or some of them who unfortunately have lost a parent or are supporting their younger siblings, or whatever the situation may be. It's not enough. So your support for them goes beyond one cycle. It goes beyond one individual student. It is a movement that will grow and grow to bring multi-generational change and movement to the entire state of Indiana. So please give. Please share the clips that amazing Brandy Garland is recording once she puts it out, and get more people invested in this story, because it is this moment, and it's far past time for these students to have a seat at the table, to be respected, and to help us make the changes that we know need to happen in our state. Thank you.
You didn't think I could be here without asking for more money? Okay. All right, you guys, I know I was late, but I was in the Central Time Zone down in Rome, Indiana. And so here I am with no makeup and everything else. Everybody, and I mean everybody, open up your wallet, pull out a $1 bill, a $5 bill, a $10 bill. Well, I'm serious, whatever you've got, and I know you've got something. 50 cents. You know, we don't take pennies because nobody takes them anymore. Oh, yes, you can also give with the QR code, and Jane Silva has already upped the ante with her very generous check. Kind of reminds me of the Indianapolis 500. So I'm going to come around and I'm going to shame you until you give at least $1 to this wonderful program, because these people have worked so hard and they are going to continue to work so hard, and they are doing this for you. So come here.
Keep talking, keep them up. Oh, hi.
Okay, so thank you everyone again for coming while Trish is walking around collecting. Thank you for giving. Sean will do a bit more music. We have yard games outside, and look forward to getting to know more of you better before we wrap up.
Thank you, everyone. As treasurer for the Indiana Rural Summit, if you give a large contribution, please stop by the table so that I can record the contribution. This will save a lot of hassle with the bookkeeping. Big contributions I really need to capture the information.
Sorry. All right. I'm a real college student. but I can contribute tomorrow online. Oh, whoa. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, I don't want to spill it. Thank you. Yes, oh, you are sweet. Thank you. Thank you. All right, good enough. Thanks, everybody. This is going to make a big difference, and the interns are going to really make a difference in every campaign. So thank you.
And then with the little summit hat, all these others. So we're in different hats.
There's more